How's it going, guys? Andrew here with Justified EDC, and I have another fixed blade review for you today. But this is going to be a little different than my normal fixed blades. Most of my normal fixed blade reviews are on, EDC or bushcraft or self-defense or, what hard use, whatever you want to call it. But this is actually going to be a kitchen knife review. This is the North Arm Knives paring knife here in Magnacut. And I am very excited to talk about it here. It'll be probably a little shorter of a video than normal, just because there's no sheath to talk about it, and I'm not a chef, I am not a cook, I am not an expert in kitchen things in any way. This is just going to be a layman's take on from what I have experienced, a very quality kitchen knife. So we will get into all the normal stuff here, but before we do that, we got to thank the sponsor of the channel, as always, Auxiliary Manufacturing. Mike over at Auxiliary Manufacturing makes some awesome custom USA-made fixed blades like this Pocket Bowie and this Sumi. If you're looking to get some blades from him, the website's a little scarce right now at the time of posting because he's gearing up for Blade Show, so if you guys are going to be at Blade Show, definitely go check him out. But definitely keep an eye on the website. He's got awesome designs, a little bit of stuff for everyone. I do have a discount code with him. Code Justified10 will get you 10% off your order over at auxiliarymanufacturing.com. I will leave links to all of his pages down in the description, and thank you to Mike, as always, for sponsoring the channel. And we do have another video sponsor on today's video, so let's go hear a word from them now. Recently, I discovered that several websites had my personal information, including my email address, listed on compromised password lists. Even worse, I found my email being listed for the purpose of accessing my paid streaming services for free. It's not the first time I've dealt with online security issues either. In the past, I've been the victim of credit card fraud that my bank didn't catch, and it costed me money and countless hours resetting passwords and trying to secure all my accounts. It's extremely frustrating and alarming to see how easily your data can be leaked online, and trying to get it taken down and secured can feel like an overwhelming and daunting task. But that's where the sponsor of today's video, Aura, comes in. Aura is like a digital shield, protecting you from the constant threats that are lurking online. It alerts you when your personal information is being sold on the dark web or by data brokers, and automatically removes your information from their websites. With Aura, you can have peace of mind knowing that you're being proactive in securing your online presence. And this is really important now, more than ever. Recently, AT&T revealed that over 73 million customer records were released onto the dark web. They recommended using strong passwords, monitoring account activity, and considering credit freezes or fraud alerts. Aura does all of this for you in one convenient place so that you don't have to juggle multiple apps or worry about your data falling into the wrong hands. I value my privacy, and I know you guys do too. That's why I recommend giving Aura a try if it's something that you think would be valuable to you. You can go to aura.com/justifiededc to start your 2-week free trial. I've also linked it down below in the description and in the pinned comment. Take control of your online security today and protect yourself from the ever-growing threats in our digital world. All right, and we are back from the ad read. So let's get right into this. So I'll get you specs, size comparison, then we'll get into the review, performance, all that kind of stuff. So right away, specs, materials we're working with here. We have Magnacut steel. This is actually a CNC machined blade, so it is a full flat grind. But it is actually not ground, it's actually CNC milled all the way down, as you can see by those milling marks here on either side. You can see right there, it is marked Magnacut. You have the little BC maple leaf there. These are made up in Canada, British Columbia, and their North Arm logo right there. You also have these red G10 handles. You got these nice pinch points on here. Your blade stock is it is a full tang knife. I do not believe it's tapered or anything like that, but it is a 1/16 of an inch thick. It is a little bit flexible, and probably for my Canadian friends, it is 1.5 millimeters thick, or for the Americans, a 1/16 of an inch thick. So very thin, very slicey. It came with a very nice edge. Let's get you some sizes on here. So your overall blade length is looking at just under 3.5 inches. Your overall is just over 8 inches. Your handle length is 4.5 inches. Again, 1/16 of an inch thick blade stock. Your handle thickness is right at 1/2 inch, maybe a hair over. Again, that's very nice and hand filling. You have some contours on here. makes it very nice in hand. I really like the pinch points on here. Let me get you some size comparisons. The best size comparison, and we'll be talking about this knife more as well, this is the Pioneer Woman paring knife. This came in one of those Pioneer Woman kitchen knife sets. This is actually the knife that the North Arm replaced in my kitchen knife set. So right there, that is the Pioneer Woman versus the North Arm there. As you can see, a little bit thinner blade stock. Here you do have like a faux bolster built into the spine of the blade. This is pin construction versus this is bolt-on construction, so you can actually take these scales off to clean it if you had to, or if you wanted to change the scale color or something like that. You have a little bit more sharpened blade length on the Pioneer Woman. But again, you're working with something like some very basic stainless. The most information I can find on this is they call it a high alloy steel or a stainless steel. So this is probably some kind of very cheap, if I had to guess, some kind of 420 variant or something like that. Just a very, very cheap stainless steel, which we'll get as we get into performance here. There's definitely an increase in performance here with the Magnacut. Some other fixed blades that I can give you a comparison to. Again, I'm not a big kitchen knife guy, so I don't have a lot of fancy kitchen knives to compare to. Here's one of my favorite knives for camp cooking. This is the Green River Works Dexter Russell knife here. You can see there. Again, blade stock thickness. This is also already a very thin, I think this is probably about 3/32, maybe a little bit thinner. As you can see, even thinner on the North Arm. Here is a Knives by Nuge Wicket XL. Let me put away stuff as I'm talking here. Let's get into some more just like EDC type fixed blades. Here is, where did I just put it? I just did another video and now all of my stuff is messed up. Bear with me a moment. There we go. Here is an Offensive Industries 3-inch Varger against the North Arm. And then let's do some folders, just because I know a lot of kitchen knife people are more folder people in terms of EDC as opposed to fixed blades. So let's get some folders out here. Here is another small batch company that also does very thin slicey knives. Here is the TRM Neutron 2, I should say. Here is the CJRB, I'm blanking on the name. That CGRB that everyone likes, the Pyrite. So there's a Pyrite. Here is a Spyderco Andela. This is the mid-size between the Delica and the Endura. Here is a Buck 112. Most of my good traditional size comparisons are out at the moment, but like here is a Mini Trapper. Here is a Barlow, both from Case. So that should give you a decent idea. And then let's get some generic, like multi-tools and stuff that I think everyone will know. Here's the Milwaukee Fastback, the 6-in-1 with the bit driver. Here is the standard Fastback. And one more, let's see, here is a Leatherman Wave Plus. So hopefully that should cover all our bases in terms of getting you a good idea of the size of this knife. From what I can tell, again, I am not a kitchen knife guy. I would like to get more into kitchen knives. And I would kind of like to slowly, like I said, I have a Pioneer Woman block set that I got when my wife and I got married, and we used for a while. I'd slowly like to start phasing them out one by one with nicer kitchen knives, maybe some customs. I know like BW Knives, Brad, he does some really cool custom kitchen knives. I'd love to pick one of his up eventually. So I'd like to start phasing out my kitchen knives and learning more about them, but this is really my first venture into nice kitchen knives. This was actually a birthday gift from my wife last year, so it's been just over a year, maybe like a year and 2 or 3 months since we got this in, because I don't think it came on the exact time of her birthday. But anyways, I'm rambling. I have been extremely impressed with this knife, especially compared to the Pioneer Woman. So I'm going to keep these out here just because we're going to talk about a lot of them in tandem with each other. But again, just going over here, just how thin the geometry is. This cuts like a dream. It came with a very, very nice edge. The G10 handles, you can get them in a couple different colors. I really, really appreciate how nice the pinch points are here. I wish a lot of EDC fixed blades just had this in general, like how they contour the scales down to the blade here, so you can kind of use these in these pinch grips, because oftentimes, even in my EDC, I find myself using my knives in a pinch grip very, very often. And this is one of the grips I use knives the most in the kitchen, especially a paring knife. And I don't even just use this as a paring knife. This is kind of, because of how well the steel performs, has kind of become my general purpose knife in the kitchen. Like, unless I really need a large knife to like process meat or something like that, most of my kitchen work gets done with this knife. So that should tell you, how well this is held up. So let's talk about Magnacut here for a second. And I honestly, I forgot to cut in what HRC they're running this at. I want to say they're running this at 62, which, again, depending on who you talk to, is a little bit low. I know the ideal for Magnacut is like between 63 and 64 HRC. Now, again, kitchen work is a little bit different than EDC. The things that you're cutting in EDC, like cardboard and tape, and you're going to be banging it against harder material and stuff like that, it's going to be much more abrasive on the edge, so that higher edge retention is really necessary. In the kitchen, most of the things you're cutting aren't very abrasive. Fruits, vegetables, meat. If you hit a bone or something like that, it's one thing. If you decide to cut on ceramic, like you cut on a plate, that's one thing. I don't cut on ceramic with this. I only cut on our plastic or wooden cutting boards. So I don't cut on our plates or anything with this. But again, ideally, I think 63 to 64 is the ideal for maximum performance out of Magnacut. That being said, I've been extremely impressed with this. The reason I wanted a Magnacut kitchen knife, one, was to just try out Magnacut in general, but two is for the extreme stain resistance that Magnacut has. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Magnacut, which, I just heard my AC shut off, which means I forgot to shut it off for this video. I know sometimes it messes with the audio, so I apologize in advance if that's a problem, but it's hot out today and I want my AC on. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Magnacut, the reason Magnacut kind of took the knife world by storm is because the three main things you look for in a knife steel are edge retention, toughness, and stain resistance. Those are kind of the three things that you want in a knife steel, and usually you can only get like two of those to be very high while another one suffers. So for example, something like 3V is extremely tough, extremely high edge retention, but it is not stainless at all. And then you can go the complete other way. So for something like LC200N, which is extremely stain proof, like 100% stain proof, and very tough because it's a softer steel, but it does not hold an edge for very long. Magnacut kind of bridges the gap and kind of combines all three of those. Now, I have to clarify, it is kind of a middle ground for a lot of those attributes. A lot of people want to say that Magnacut is the best out of all the knife steel edge retentions, and the best out of the knife steel toughnesses, and the best out of corrosion resistance. Really, only one of those is true. This is completely 100% stain proof. For example, things like Spyderco's Salt line, which they have prided themselves in being 100% completely stain proof, even in salt water. People have done plenty of tests on there where you cannot get it to rust. Magnacut is like that. It will not rust under pretty much any condition. I have not seen a single speck on rust on this knife, even leaving it wet for multiple days just as a test. The hardware also on here doesn't rust. I don't know if this is titanium hardware or what, but I would assume since they're making these in-house that they're either titanium or they made them out of Magnacut, which would be kind of weird, but my guess is these are titanium hardware. That being said, while Magnacut does retain its high corrosion resistance, while also having good edge retention and good toughness, they're not the best. So there are other steels with better toughness and better edge retention, but they are really, really good on this knife considering how corrosion resistant it is. Really what Larrin Thomas set out to do with this is make a stainless 4V. So if you're familiar, 4V knife steel, it's extremely tough. And it has decent edge retention, but it is not very corrosion resistant. So this is basically a completely stain-proof 4V. So if you want to go know more about Magnacut in like scientific detail, I'll leave links to Knife Steel Nerds, Larrin Thomas, and maybe some Erica's EDC videos where she does a lot of testing on Magnacut. But again, from a layman's use, I think Magnacut is a really good steel for kitchen use. One, because again, you're going to be getting your knife wet, you're going to be leaving it in the sink, all that kind of stuff. So it's completely stain proof. But I'm also extremely impressed at how easy this knife is to sharpen. Most high edge retention steels, you have a bit of a tougher time sharpening. Simple, softer steels are very easy to touch up, whereas most high edge retention steels aren't. The thing, I don't fully understand how this works. There are smarter people than me out there that could possibly explain this, but this was very easy to sharpen. So I'm actually going to cut in some footage here of me showing these edges before I sharpened them, and then the performance after I sharpened them, and then we'll come back to the review. All right, so here we have the Pioneer Woman paring knife in whatever basic stainless steel they use on this. I'm not exactly sure. If I find out, I'll let you know later in the video. And then we have the North Arm paring knife in Magnacut. Both right now have been used for, I'd say, about a year. This one was what I was using before I got this, so this one had about a year of use on it, or about a year, I should say, maybe a little bit more before I switched to this. So right now, as you can see, that was kind of what we were getting out of this. It's not very sharp right now. So we're going to sharpen both of these up similarly here. This still feels in kitchen use like it's decently sharp, but when I try to cut paper, you're not really getting anything here. So I'm going to sharpen both of these here on the Spyderco Sharpmaker, which is the basic coarse and fine ceramic stones. On the same edge angle, the 40 degrees, so 20 degrees per edge, per side, I should say. And then I'll come back and I'll show you the results. All right, so we're back from the sharpening. Again, we're using the Spyderco Sharpmaker, 20 degrees per side. I did the same amount of passes on both the Pioneer Woman and the North Arm. Again, in something basic stainless and in Magnacut. So what Spyderco recommends for, most steels is how the Sharpmaker works here is you have these triangular stones. So you have the pointed side and the flat side. So you do 20 passes on the pointed side, 20 passes on the flat side, then you switch to the fine stones, same thing, 20 passes on the pointed side, 20 passes on the flat side, and then I usually do a couple passes on the strop. So I did the same exact thing, same amount of passes, same stone, same strop on both of these knives. So now, and I have not tested these yet, so now let's go check how they perform on paper. So basic stainless steel. I'll try to find for the cut in later in the video what this steel actually is, but Pioneer Woman, much better there. Probably could use just a couple more passes just to tune that edge just a little bit more, but this is already performing way better. All right, and now let's try the North Arm. The edge feels a little bitier already, but that could have just been because we're picking up a burr already, but we'll see how this does. Oh, that is a damn laser beam, dude. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, okay. So this is the first time I've really sharpened Magnacut. I had done some rough just touching up on some other Magnacut knives I've owned. But wow, that's so easy to sharpen up. This one from you guys saw in the last cut there, that was, it was not cutting paper at all, and that was, just basic. It took me less than 5 minutes on the Sharpmaker to get it back to that kind of a working edge. That is insanely impressive for how long this holds an edge. Wow. All right, well, back to the review. All right, so we're back from the sharpening and the paper cut test. I am absolutely blown away at how easy this knife was to sharpen. Like I said, I did the same amount of passes with both of these knives, which are very generic low-end stainless steel and a very high-end steel like Magnacut. The exact same amount of passes, and I think this came out sharper. Now, I think the edge geometry is a little bit better on this just from the factory, so we have to give that credit, but it's crazy how that is one thing that I would absolutely recommend about Magnacut to people is if you can afford Magnacut. I know it's usually on pricier knives, but especially on, you know, fixed blades and stuff, if you can afford Magnacut, it's a really great entry-level steel. And I say that, again, entry-level if you have the money. So if you're looking to get into knives and you have the money to spend, but you're looking for something that can kind of do everything and it's easy to maintain, which a lot of people are kind of intimidated by. You know, you're intimidated by sharpening and maintaining your knives and stuff when you first get into them. Magnacut is a great steel for that because you get all the performance that you could really want as a newbie in the knife world. You know, as you start to develop your taste in steel and start to figure out what steel you want for what uses, Magnacut will give you a little bit of everything, and it's extremely, extremely easy to maintain, in my experience. And a lot of other people will say the same thing from the other Magnacut that they've had. So again, that's mostly just about the steel, but I am extremely impressed by how this knife performed. Again, this held a good working edge for over a year of kitchen use. And you know, I had a little ding in the steel here where I think I had like thrown it in the sink and it either hit the edge of a ceramic plate or a pot or something like that and ding the edge. It sharpened right out. The edge is absolutely beautiful now. I want to cut paper again with this because of how fun that was. Just I'm so happy with how easy that was to get a working edge on again. So I can't recommend this knife enough. Again, I am not a chef, so I don't know everything, all the ins and outs of kitchen knives. All I know is that this has done everything I want a kitchen knife to do. It's held its edge for a real good long time. It's never rusted on me, and it really has never chipped out on me if I've done anything stupid with it. So that's really all I can say about this knife, guys. If you have any more questions about this, please feel free to leave them down in the comments. If there's anyone down there that's more familiar with kitchen knives or you're a chef or something, please let me know. Give me some input on these. And if you've tried out a Magnacut kitchen knife, let me know what your thoughts on it were. So thank you as always for you guys for watching. Thank you to Aura again for sponsoring the video. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.